Welcome, one and all, to the SpareTalk News Network. Your host, Rod Weaver, will be up momentarily as he gets ready for his one-on-one interactive podcast to kick things off. So, sit back and enjoy. And now, on with the show.
Welcome back to the lane, everyone. I'm Rod, and today we're diving deep into an aspect of bowling that honestly many of us probably don't think about nearly enough. With me, as always, is our resident bowling guru, Ryan. Ryan, it's great to have you back.
Thanks, Rod. Always a pleasure to be here, especially when we're tackling something as fundamental yet overlooked as today's topic. It's truly a game changer for many bowlers.
Absolutely. So we're talking about something legendary bowler Gary Dickinson once penned. Remember, you've got two arms and two legs. And I'll be honest, the title alone makes you pause, right? You're usually so focused on your dominant arm, the ball, the target.
Exactly. It's counterintuitive for a lot of people. Dickinson even starts by talking about how a savvy opponent might just ask you, what do you do with your opposite hand during your approach? And bam! Instant mental distraction, right? It's gamesmanship 101.
Oh, I've had that happen. And you instantly feel yourself fumbling, suddenly hyper-aware of this limb you never, ever thought about. It's brilliant, in a sneaky way.
It is. But Dickinson says you can take two paths after that experience. One, you vow to be mentally tough and ignore it. Or two, the enlightened reaction, as he puts it, is to actually figure out what that non-bowling arm is doing and how you can use it more effectively. That's where the real improvement comes in.
So it's not just about avoiding distraction, it's about optimizing a part of your body you previously considered useless, as he mentions.
Precisely. He argues that a high percentage of bowlers would benefit from disciplining the motion of their opposite arm, and in some cases, even their non-sliding leg. These limbs seem incidental because our focus is naturally on the swing and release, but they're far from useless.
He even suggests a simple exercise, which I'm keen to try, for right-handers, putting your left hand in your left front pocket or holding it stationary against your left hip and making an approach. He warns you might almost fall.
And that instantly proves his point. The opposite arm serves a very useful function. With it extended, we can swing the ball much more freely and fully because of improved equilibrium. It's all about balance, Rod. That heavy ball in your dominant hand needs a counterweight.
I can visualize that. If your opposite arm is just dangling or flailing, you're fighting yourself. So what's the ideal position for that non-bowling arm, according to Dickinson?
For a right-hander, he recommends the left arm be about 2 feet away from the left hip, and this is key, kept stationary. He calls it a dual task. First, it counterbalances the heavy ball. Second, it ensures your shoulders don't sway from the target or allow you to overswing.
Stationary, that's the hard part, I imagine. My natural instinct is to let it move around, but the idea of it stabilizing your shoulders makes so much sense.
Absolutely. He points to classic form bowlers like David Ozio, who uses his left arm superbly. His left side is as still as can be, hand extended out and down, level with his hip. Or for left-handers, Earl Anthony, whose right side appears tight after his right arm assumes that out and down counterbalance position. No flailing, no flinging, no flapping.
So it's less about active movement and more about a locked, supportive posture. That's a real shift in mindset from what many casual bowlers might think.
Exactly. He even gets more specific, advising bowlers to attempt to press forward with the extended hand and turn the palm somewhat forward or down. This isn't about actually moving the hand forward, but maintaining steadiness. It resists the natural inclination to fling it back as the release nears, which creates shoulder sway.
That's a subtle but powerful tip. Resisting the backward fling, keeping the palm facing down and forward, it all works to keep that non-bowling side quiet, as he describes it.
It's all about control, Rod. Many bowlers, including Dickinson himself, open their shoulders during the backswing and close them during the downswing. This is controlled. Swaying, however, indicates motion out of control and is difficult to duplicate consistently.
I mean, consistency is everything in bowling, right? It's not about one great shot. It's about stringing strikes and spares. And if your body is moving erratically, that's just not going to happen.
Absolutely. And he even mentioned an interesting training device he used in the 70s for about 5 years, a 1-pound weighted glove in his left hand. The theory was that 1 pound held steady would evenly offset the 16-pound ball. He found it to be a great training device, especially for keeping the opposite arm down and the plane of the shoulders level.
A weighted glove. That's brilliant. It physically prevents you from raising that arm too high. I can see how that would ingrain the proper muscle memory.
Exactly. Now, Dickinson also admits that if you watch modern pros like Amleto Monticelli or Pete Weber, you might think he's all wet or hopelessly out of date. These guys display excessive movement with their opposite arms, with shoulders so open they rotate their entire bodies.
Yeah, I've seen Monticelli's surfing position where his left hand is way out in front, almost pointing at the target. It's wild to watch.
It is. But Dickinson cautions that very few bowlers can get away with that. It's usually learned at an early age, often on specific lane conditions that allow for a big hook. He emphasizes that you don't teach someone to bowl that way, especially when you have examples of classic form like Ozio.
So it's more of an adaptation born from specific circumstances rather than a fundamental technique to emulate.
Precisely. And he uses a great example with Leanne Barrett, who was PBA Player of the Year in 1990. She actually credited him for some of her success that year. Before working with Dickinson, she also had that surfer's position, and her left arm would swing way behind her.
So she was one of those exceptional bowlers who could get away with it on certain conditions.
Right, as long as the lane's hooked enough. But when she ran into tougher conditions and needed to play a straighter shot, she hardly ever cashed. To her credit, she wanted to bowl well every week, not just when the conditions suited her style. She realized she couldn't get away with that big shoulder sway.
That's the mark of a true competitor, wanting to adapt and improve even when you're already at a high level. What did Dickinson do for her?
He felt that if he could get her to square up and keep her left arm relatively quiet, she wouldn't lose much of her ability to create hook. And she did. She squared up somewhat in 1990, not completely, but enough to have a great year and make numerous TV finals appearances.
That's a fantastic real-world testament to his principles. It's not about completely changing your game, but refining those other movements to improve consistency.
Exactly. He also worked with her on her footwork, getting rid of a drift to the left on her second step. She was young, 23 at the time, and still winning while making these modifications. It just goes to show how powerful these seemingly minor adjustments can be.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the non-bowling arm, but Dickinson also mentions the non-sliding leg or trailing leg. What's the deal there?
Another often overlooked aspect. As your pivot step concludes and your slide begins, the trailing leg has to move out of the way so your downswing can come straight through. But, and this is crucial, you don't want to kick it too far laterally. That causes your body to spin and throws your hips and sliding foot open to the target.
Oh, I've definitely seen bowlers do that sort of wild kick out to the side. It looks like they're trying to add power, but it just looks uncontrolled.
Uncontrolled is right. The ideal position for the trailing leg, for right-handers, is a couple of feet to the left of the sliding foot, either on the ground or slightly off the approach. If that leg is kicked too high, your body will pitch forward, and you'll be in no position to lift and extend through the shot properly.
So again, it's about stability and maintaining your center of gravity.
Spot on. Your center of gravity at the release point should be over your sliding knee. An overactive trailing leg places your upper body weight beyond that point, throwing everything off. These movements, both the opposite arm and trailing leg, are essentially reflex actions when we first learn to bowl. We focus on steps, swing, release, and the rest just reacts.
So if they're reflex actions, how do you go about training them to be correct?
Well, you could just concentrate on stopping a flaw, like dipping shoulders, and if you're successful, your opposite arm or trailing leg will likely respond with proper movements without you even realizing it. But Dickinson says often the best and easiest way to cure a mechanical flaw is to define and key on its residual effect. By training yourself to make the reflexive moves in the desired manner, you can eliminate or modify the original problem.
That's a really interesting concept, tackling the symptom to fix the cause, in a way.
It's like how instructors commonly emphasize a good follow-through, even though the arm can't influence the shot after the ball has left your hand. By developing a strong, balanced follow-through, we improve our swing, release position, and even timing that precede the follow-through. The same reasoning applies to these opposite limbs.
So in essence, becoming consciously aware of what these secondary limbs are doing and then actively practicing to get them into their ideal positions can dramatically improve your overall game.
Precisely. It's about a holistic approach to your mechanics. Don't just focus on the ball and the bowling arm. Your entire body is an integrated system. When one part is out of whack, it affects everything else. So next time you're on the lanes, try that pocket exercise, or just become mindful of what your opposite arm and trailing leg are doing. You'll be surprised at the improvements you can make.
That's incredible advice, Ryan. I'm definitely going to be paying more attention to my other limbs now. It's a whole new dimension to think about when I'm approaching the lane. Thanks for breaking down Gary Dickinson's insights for us.
My pleasure, Rod. It's these subtle, often overlooked details that separate the good bowlers from the great ones. Keep practicing smart, everyone.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Lane Lowdown. A huge thank you to Ryan for his expert analysis. Until next time, keep those pins falling, and maybe give some love to your opposite arm and leg. We'll catch you on the next one.
From the Buffalo Courier Express in the year 1960, ABC tests magnesium bowling pin. American Bowling Congress officials are studying a new magnesium bowling pin which has been perfected by Earl Attridge of Buffalo. Attridge huddled today and yesterday with Arthur H. Johnson, ABC Director of Research, explaining the magnesium pin. Johnson and other ABC representatives bowled against the pins but withheld any comment. Attridge is seeking ABC sanction for the magnesium pins. Attridge said he was asked to leave a set of pins in Milwaukee so that ABC personnel could bowl against them some more. The Buffalonian said he was told that Johnson will contact him again by letter. They were absolutely non-committal about the pin, said Attridge. From the year 1995 in the Columbia Daily Tribune, Quick, Grab a Snowplow and Bowling Ball, by Dave Barry. The problem with winter sports is that, follow me closely here, they generally take place in winter. Winter is both cold and slippery, which means that if you engage in a typical winter sport such as skiing, you could easily wind up freezing in some godforsaken snowbank, unable to move because one or more of your knees have been converted into ligament gumbo. Fact. Last year, 17% of all recreational skiers were eaten by wolves. This is why leading health experts recommend that you spend the entire winter in a heated, TV-equipped environment eating Cheez-Its directly from the box. But for those of you who insist on leading an active lifestyle year-round, I'm pleased to report that there is a new winter sport on the scene. A winter sport that lets you stay warm, yet at the same time enables you to potentially get arrested. I found out about this sport from Judy Schneck, an alert reader who lives in a Wisconsin city called Oconomowoc, an American Indian word meaning, word that even American Indians cannot pronounce. Judy wrote to me in response to a column I'd written about a sport called car bowling, in which guys try to hit junk cars with bowling balls dropped from airplanes. She said this reminded her of a sport invented by her husband, Mark, and a buddy of his named Bob Phelan. It seems that some winters ago, Mark and Bob were sitting around a gas station with not much to do. I certainly do not wish to make gender-based generalizations, but if Mark and Bob had been women, they probably would have passed the time in some non-productive manner, such as nurturing their friendship, exploring their innermost feelings, or helping each other gain significant insights into the important relationships in their lives. But fortunately for humanity in general, Mark and Bob are not women. Mark and Bob are guys, and what they did is invent snowplow hockey. According to Mark, 3 factors led to this invention. 1. Mark and Bob each had a vehicle equipped with a snowplow. 2. Both sides of the street were lined by steep, hard snowbanks. 3. Mark's vehicle also contained no motorist should ever be without one, a bowling ball. As Mark recalls the moment, he and Bob realized that if they shoved the bowling ball with a snowplow, it would be prevented by the snowbanks from leaving the street. It would just bounce off and keep going. We realized that it would basically roll forever, Mark says, which is why you need the other snowplow to play defense. And that's how snowplow hockey works. You have your 2 opposing snowplows facing each other. The player on offense drives forward and gives the bowling ball a hearty shove with his plow. The player on defense then tries to block the ball. The trick on offense is to angle the ball. It's just like pool, says Mark, so that it caroms off a snowbank and rockets past the defender into the intersection behind him, where it knocks over an elderly woman. No, seriously, Mark says they play this sport only on deserted streets, and nobody has been injured so far, although there obviously is a certain amount of hazard involved in having guy-operated snowplows lunging toward each other in a competitive manner. How close do you come to hitting each other? I asked. Too close, Mark replied. He said there are rules about how far forward each snowplow is supposed to go. But we can't get anybody to come out and referee. Mark, who in real life is a restaurant manager, says that he and some other guys still play snowplow hockey on a semi-regular basis. Fortunately, the police have never seen us, he said. They would probably take our bowling ball away. I don't know about you, but I think this sounds like a way more entertaining brand of hockey than the kind where you have a bunch of stick-waving Canadians skittering frantically around trying to hit a semi-invisible puck roughly the size of a breath mint. Just think, as a sports fan, what it would mean if we had a national snowplow hockey league with franchises in all major U.S. cities. It would mean hundreds of pedestrian deaths. So we probably should limit the franchises to places that are the size of Economawalk or, if this is possible, smaller. Nevertheless, this is clearly a major ground floor opportunity for the type of wealthy stupid businessman who likes to own sports teams. Also, you large corporations should be aware that Mark Schneck told me that, as one of the top 3 or 4 snowplow hockey players in the world, he is available for lucrative product endorsements. For example, you could have a commercial wherein Mark snowplows into McDonald's for a hearty meal, taking down most of the building in the process. My point is that there's plenty of opportunity for everyone who sincerely cares about sports as a way to get rich. But if you're interested, you'd better act fast. Because if this thing gets any more popular, there will definitely be a strike. From the Post-Standard in the year 1986, to Petraglia, his bowling's all business. The best-laid schemes of mice and men, women too, oft go astray. Apologies to Robert Burns. Never mind the bowling tips. My intent Tuesday was to question professional bowler John Petraglia about his manhood. What kind of a man was he? I wondered, who was afraid to pit his talents against the best women bowlers? Some background is in order. In 1984, when the Ladies Professional Bowlers Tour stopped in Syracuse, LPBT President John Falzone complained that the best women bowlers were as good as the best of men, but they were earning far less in prize money. He said that he had a plan to gain recognition for his ladies. They would challenge the men. Last year, Falzone told me the challenge had been posed and nary a male had answered the call. I asked him why and he said, "Ask the men." John Petraglia has won 16 Professional Bowlers Association Tour titles and is a past PBA president. He was in Syracuse Monday and Tuesday to roll some exhibitions. I caught up with him Tuesday just before he was scheduled to bowl against 1 male and 1 female junior at Lakeview Recreation Center in Liverpool. So what's the story, Johnny? Afraid of the women? I didn't really come on that strong with the questions. But it reads a lot better, doesn't it? Petraglia said he sympathized with the effort to increase purses for the women's tour. But he also explained why PBA members wouldn't touch the LPBT challenge with a 10-foot pole. I don't think they bowl for enough money, said Petraglia. But the deal that they came to us with was that they wanted 5 women to bowl against 5 men on TV. Each match would be for $10,000, the woman against the man. Winner take all. And the way that it was going to work was the men were going to have 50 people qualify for the top 5 spots. And our entry fee was going to be $1,000 a person. And that's where the $50,000 was going to be raised, and the women weren't going to put up anything. Petraglia said the challenge was brought up at a tournament committee meeting and, for reasons having more to do with good business sense than male ego, was summarily dismissed. Falzone confirmed that those were the terms of the challenge. But he refused to concede that the proposal was one-sided. No, we didn't put up any money, he said. But it was our idea, our concept. If we won, we won. If the men won, they'd have all the money. The fact that it was the men's own money they were supposed to win back from the women didn't seem unfair to Falzone. When I pushed him, he admitted that he'd prefer to have both men and women put in an equal amount of cash and bowl, winner take all. If economically we could do it, we would, he said. It's too bad the men and the women of the sport aren't any closer together on a plan for the battle of the sexes. I think it would be fun. But Petraglia says it's a question of bucks, as in doe, not bucks versus doe as in wildlife of deer. Women who bowl in exhibitions like Petroglia's stop here this week generally earn the same as men. In competition, however, there's less prize money for the LPBT. The men, he said, have a lot of solid sponsors and a good television contract. The women do not. On the question of whether or not the best women bowlers could compete with the best men, Petroglia offers the standard line. The best women bowlers, the Alida Sills, the Lisa Wagners, they could compete with the men but only for 1 or 2 weeks. The main problem, and the women will even admit this, is that to go out bowling 16 weeks in a row, after 2 or 3 weeks, the physical wear and tear starts to get them down. Petroglia went even further, saying it is a question of size and strength over a period of time. He said the best male bowlers have the optimum bowling build, 5'9" to 6 foot, 170 to 190 pounds, strong hands and wrists, and wiry legs. Still, he admits that the best women bowlers can beat the best of the men under comparable conditions. He has bowled and lost exhibitions against top women. And while we're on the topic of exhibitions, Petroglia lost his first match against local high school senior Bobby Yoker Tuesday afternoon, 202 to 190. The young woman who was scheduled to bowl the second exhibition didn't show up, so Petroglia took on high school senior Joey Calabria and beat him, 187 to 182. From the year 1978 in the Richmond Times-Dispatch, Roth captures PBA Tour opener. Mark Roth of Staten Island, New York earned the biggest paycheck of his career yesterday, $15,000, by beating Lee Taylor of San Diego in the final match of a $100,000 tournament. First stop on the Professional Bowlers Association Winter Tour. Roth, 26, scored 222 against 192 for Taylor in the championship match. Taylor took the runner-up's check of $8,000. Roth, scoring the 9th victory of his PBA career, put the title match away when he threw strikes in the 7th, 8th, and 9th frames. He came into the final in the number 2 spot and had to beat Joe Nuzzo of Youngstown, Ohio, 236 to 181 for the right to challenge Taylor. Nuzzo won 2 matches in the stepladder format, beating number 5 seeded Gary Dickinson of Fort Worth, Texas, 224 to 223, and number 3, Larry Gray of Torrance, 247 to 245. In his third game of the day, Nuzzo ran into 3 splits in his first 4 frames and Roth had easy going. Roth, top money winner last year with more than $100,000, went to a hospital Friday night for treatment of a sore ring finger that was infected. I felt it a couple of shots during that last game, he said. I'd have done anything to bowl today. I'd have even drilled the finger hole too large just so I could get my finger into the ball. From the year 1955 in The Republican, bowling pin fad grows. Salem develops a mania for worn-out wood. Historic Salem is being bewitched again, this time by 43,000 bowling pins. It began a while back when 2 of the 7 Howland brothers, Mike and Fred, decided to advertise their bowling alley by passing out worn-out candle pins on the streets to passers-by. People took the pins, cumbersome and useless as they were. Word got around that the pins were being given away. The demand mushroomed, and pins weren't being worn out fast enough to fill the demand. Hearing about the Howlands' dilemma, bowling alley proprietors in other cities began shipping their old pins to Salem. Within a few days, they came by the truckload, 42,700 within 72 hours. Merchants now help out by giving away the pins for use as fence posts, lamps, and fireplaces. The Howlands said anyone who brings a pin to their colonial alleys today can bowl a free string. But they admit the thing has gotten out of hand and there is no end in sight. Anyone want a bowling pin? From the Finger Lake Times in the year 1962, bowling ball aids in space strike. Bowling logged a high-scoring frame in the Space League recently as a Brunswick ball played a vital role in the world's first recovery of a man-made object from orbit. Scientists from Lockheed Missile and Space Company released the results of tests where the Brunswick Fireball was used as a large bearing in re-entry experiments for the Agena satellite. Analysis of data from earlier flights in the Discoverer series revealed that failures to recover the capsule were due to the malfunction of the spin system, which used hot gas jets. This made it impossible to predict the re-entry trajectory of the capsule. Engineers came up with a new system, one employing cold gas actuated by explosive cartridges. But the new system had to be thoroughly tested before it could be put aboard a satellite. To simulate as nearly as possible how the system would operate in space, a mock-up of the entry capsule was mounted on a bowling ball bearing. The Brunswick Fireball, purchased in a local sports shop, was found to be within 1/1000th of an inch of being a perfect sphere. Lockheed engineers estimate that 3 weeks' time and $2,500 were saved by using the bowling ball as opposed to matching a sphere adequate to do the job. The cold gas system with the bowling ball bearing was subjected to exhaustive testing and passed with flying colors. Flown for the first time on Discover 13, the system scored a historic strike in the space race by being the first satellite ever to return a man-made object from orbit. Since then, Discoverer has launched and returned 7 other capsules. That's equal to a string of 8 strikes for a new backstage hero in the space tournament, a Brunswick bowling ball.
From the year 1960 in the Intelligencer Journal, Bowling Tip on Spares. There are 3 specific rules for shooting at any spare. 1. Face your target from the correct angle by squaring your shoulders to the target. 2. Walk directly toward your target, like in the cases of the 7-pin and the 10-pin, which means you'll go to the foul line at a slight angle. 3. Make sure you have your right arm following through directly toward your target, whether it be pin or spot. And here is a bonus reminder from Dr. X himself. This seems to enhance the above 3 tips, but try to remember to direct your weight forward at your target upon your approach and the releasing of the ball.
From the Lincoln Journal-Star in the year 1986, Straub Group sues PBA over right to organize. A banned marketing organization for professional bowlers, led by Lincoln's Bill Straub, has filed suit against the Professional Bowlers Association, seeking its right to organize and pursue financial opportunities beyond what the PBA offers. The nonprofit Touring Professional Bowlers Incorporated formed last January with Straub as its president, only to be banned by the PBA in May as a threat to that organization, filed the suit Monday in U.S. South District Court in Seattle. The suit charges that the PBA has violated the rights of its members by preventing them from signing contracts with sponsors and marketing agents, and from organizing other events, such as televised exhibitions and 5-man team clinics. Straub explained, "We specifically want the right to sign contracts with sponsors for clothing and equipment and to negotiate group discounts on lodging, so we can cut down our expenses and make a better living from our chosen profession. Professional bowling does not pay the lucrative prize money of many other pro sports," he said. So the group of full-time touring pros banded together in search of supplemental income and savings. "We want to win more by spending less," Straub said from Union City, California, the site of the PBA's AC Delco Classic. PBA Commissioner Joe Antinora would not comment on the suit, saying it had not been served yet by the courts. The PBA has refused to recognize the TPB and has instituted the Tulsa Rule, which states that any member participating in extracurricular money-making activities is subject to expulsion for at least 2 years. "They believe our interest is in starting another tour. And that is not so," Straub said. "We've tried so many times to talk to the PBA about it, but they keep stonewalling us." Parties filing the suit in addition to the TPB were Anderson Bear, a TV production company in Seattle, TPB Shootout, a group of 8 bowling pros whom Anderson Bear chose for a weekly bowling series, a group of pros called the Monday Night Social Club, and Johnny Ray Gomez of Omaha, who is acting as a marketing agent for the TPB. No court date has yet been set, but Straub said he hopes the PBA didn't think we'd go this far, and will consider settling the disagreement out of court. From the Wisconsin State Journal in the year 1967, Richland Center firm produces 7,000 sets of pins in a year. Badger bowlers who batter the pins during the season may be committing mayhem on a Wisconsin product. Of the less than 2 dozen bowling pin manufacturers in the country, at least 4 are in Wisconsin, and one of them is here in Richland Center. A pioneer manufacturer, Richland Bowling Pin Company Incorporated dates back to the 1920s and employs 7 craftsmen who turn out 7,000 sets of pins a year. It was started locally, but now is a subsidiary of the Dick's Manufacturing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. It's a small firm, compared with the giants of the industry, but its product is shipped to nearly every country in the world. One of the growing markets, according to manager Henry Korsberg, is Japan. We filled an order of 2,000 sets to Japan this winter, he said, and it may be just the beginning. The Richland plant once made the complete product, but now it's in the finishing business. We're specializing now just like everyone else, said Korsberg, and a plastic coating process has made a big change in the business. The aim with plastic coating is to make the pins hold up for 3,500 lines of bowling. Before plastic, Korsberg said, the lacquer treatment was good for only 800 to 900 lines. According to Korsberg, the business is highly competitive. There were about 19 manufacturers in the United States 13 years ago, he said. When plastic was introduced, the figure leaped to about 100. Now it's down to about 19 again. A set of pins costs just something less than $50, but value also is measured in pride of workmanship. Korsberg is one of the proud craftsmen. I never bowl, he said. I just couldn't bear to knock those pins around.
Well, I think we'll wrap it up for today. Thanks again for stopping by and tuning in to our revised format of the This Day in Bowling History podcast. As usual, if you'd like to be notified of future videos when they become available and are published, feel free to hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of the videos or the YouTube screen. Have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you on the upcoming Monday, and hopefully we'll have a few more enhancements to the podcast. So take care.